You can tell from a woman's skeleton whether or not she has carried a baby and given birth. You are going through a sacred transformation. Whether this is baby number 1 or baby number 5, loving our body postpartum starts in pregnancy. Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Michaela. I talk about all things motherhood and how to not just survive it, but how to actually enjoy motherhood. And sometimes I feel like my motherhood story is just not relatable because I've actually always liked being a mom. I was afraid to admit that for the first about year of being a mom because I felt like so many moms are struggling and are so unhappy and complaining. I feel like a jerk being like, hey, I actually really like being a mom. That's a very specific insecurity. I think a lot of what we experience in early motherhood is based on our expectations. I truly just expected to hate my life as a mom. I came to the conclusion when I was about a year in that this is really a gift God has given me, that not only do I enjoy motherhood, but I actually believe I'm a good mom. When I realized how rare that is, it just gave me this incredible desire to find a way to bring other moms along with me and lift other moms up and help other people find what I've found and find this joy in motherhood. I've had so many different theories about why I actually like being a mom. I think it comes back to our expectations and our beliefs about motherhood. And I think we need a combination of really realistic expectations and really solid beliefs in motherhood and how it fits into God's kingdom and God's call on our life to be mothers. I think it's those two things intersecting that has really helped me to find joy in motherhood. Even on the days when this role does feel hard and overwhelming, I still trust so strongly that this is what I'm meant to be doing. I became interested in cognitive behavioral therapy a little while ago and started learning a little bit about that. And really the main thing that I learned is that our beliefs are formed by our thoughts, and those beliefs then translate to actions. So if we want to change the way we act, we really need to change what we think on a day-to-day basis. So I want to share just 5 truths to remember as you are transitioning into motherhood, and some of it will be around postpartum body image and all of that. I know that's a really hot topic, but some of it will also be about your personality and your sense of self as you enter into motherhood. So I hope these 5 tips or 5 things to remember will help you no matter where you are, whether you are pregnant, about to have your first, or you are already kind of in the trenches of early motherhood and trying to navigate all of that. So number 1, you are going through a sacred transformation. Whether this is baby number 1 or baby number 5 and beyond, you are going through something so sacred. And in my most recent pregnancy, I had my 3rd child a few months ago. In those final days, sobbing to my husband, I was always sobbing about one thing or another, right? But I was just sobbing and telling him, our society doesn't view this as sacred, and that kills me. There seems to be this weird sense of pride around like bouncing back, and I think we're all over trying to make our bodies bounce back, but bouncing back when it comes to our schedule and the things that we're doing, it seems like people expect you to give birth one day and then just be, cooking a meal for your family or out bringing your kids to school the next day or something. I just resist that messaging so hard. You are not a hero if you're at church the day after you give birth. You're just not. I don't gain respect for you for that. I actually just think you need to go and rest. And of course, there's a balance to that, right? Because only you are going to know what you need postpartum, and maybe you actually do really want that contact with people. We really need to just remove ourselves from that sense of pressure to be out and about and doing things right after we give birth. The transition you're going through is so sacred, and not only are you bringing a new person into this world, you're becoming a new person yourself, and that I believe is true with every baby. Something I do now every pregnancy towards the end is I want to remove everything out of my life and then bring it back in piece by piece as I'm able postpartum. I don't believe in burdening ourselves, overwhelming our schedules, and just trying to do it all postpartum. That's really not what postpartum is for. This is a sacred time, and it's okay and even important to set yourself apart from the world for a little while. I don't know a lot of people who agree with that belief as strongly as I do, so maybe you don't either. You can let me know in the comments. I recently got a new perspective on, in the Bible, women were marked as unclean after they gave birth, or when they were on their periods. They were unclean. They weren't supposed to do any chores or do anything. They were just supposed to kind of sit in their tents. And I always thought that was so weird and like rude to do that to women on their period. But really, now I see what a gift that was, especially after giving birth. This forced rest, this time set apart to bond with their baby and heal and kind of be cared for. I think that's really beautiful, and I kind of think we should bring that back. Maybe we can call it something other than being unclean. Our bodies just require more rest during that time. Well, that was a tangent and a half. Okay, so number 2, I want you to remember your body was not designed to look like a maiden forever. There's this strange thing in our society where we really value youth and perfection that just doesn't exist. And I think a lot of us are kind of getting over that, and the standard for beauty is becoming more just real. But it can rear its ugly head postpartum too, right? Because I still hear women so often talk about this desire to fit back into their pre-pregnancy pants or have their stretch marks fully go away, and I just don't think that is realistic. Our bodies were meant to grow and change, and I actually think it's really important for us as women to accept that now, even when it comes to aging, because I see so many people in our grandparents' generation who really struggle with aging, and maybe they're dyeing their hair or they're upset that they have wrinkles on their face. And it saddens me because there's something so beautiful about a wrinkled face and the wisdom that that person has gained from their years on earth. I want to start thinking about aging and shaping my thoughts around aging now, so that when I get to that point, I'm not shocked that I get wrinkles or gray hair. I want to start framing my thoughts now so that I can see what a gift it is to grow old and the wisdom that is showing on your body when you get those wrinkles and gray hairs. I really believe when it comes to our postpartum bodies, loving our body postpartum starts in pregnancy. It starts the first time you notice a stretch mark appear or that things are a bit swollen or saggy. When our bodies change in pregnancy, it's so important that we're not saying, okay, see you later body, you'll be back next year. It's so important to say goodbye, former hips, goodbye to my old boobs, whatever, because those things are never going to be the same again. I learned in anthropology class in high school that a woman's bone structure changes when she carries a baby and when she gives birth vaginally. Those bones shift. You can tell from a woman's skeleton whether or not she has carried a baby and given birth. Your body will literally never be the same again. And that's okay. It's actually a good and godly thing. The next thing I want you to remember is that you don't need to pack your schedule. In fact, I urge you to leave so much room in your schedule postpartum, and if possible, that first year of your baby's life. The most important thing you can do is hold your baby and bond with your baby. And that includes items on your to-do list, like making dinner. Like, just take that off of your to-do list until you figure out what you're doing with your baby, and then you can start cooking again. It's always wise when you're preparing for a baby to fill your freezer with stuff, or plan some easy meals that just buy pre-made parts of, or just throw together easily. I hope you're part of a local church or a group that's gonna just really love on you and bless you and bring you meals, but I know that's not realistic for everyone. So as much as possible, fill your freezer, find some easy options, put like DoorDash gift cards on your baby registry or something so that you can lighten your to-do list as much as possible. When you are with your baby in those early weeks, your priority is not the home. Your priority is your baby and your healing. So just truly pull every single thing out of your schedule, and then over time you can add it back in. And cooking might be one of the last things that you add back in, and that is okay. Postpartum is meant to be, like I said, if back in Bible times, it's meant to be this really vulnerable time where others are caring for you. And I know we live in a society where that is so broken and we don't always have other people to care for us, but you really don't need to do it all. There's no award for doing it all and packing your schedule super tightly. Number 4, I want you to know you are not losing yourself in motherhood. You're finding new facets of who God made you to be. And I feel that so strongly. Like I said, my expectations going in were so negative. I was really expecting to lose myself and not recognize myself and just kind of hate myself and who I became as a mom. So I was really pleasantly surprised when I was at home with my one little newborn, and I realized I actually had a lot of free time and I could still journal and read books and read the Bible or go places or get back into cooking and baking when the time was right. Not only was I able to do those things, I actually found new purpose and meaning in doing those things, especially once that little baby started solids and and now I'm cooking and baking for a family, right? It brings new meaning to all of the things that we're already doing. Even like this YouTube channel and my blog, right? I wanted to blog for so long, but I was so insecure. And the funny thing is, becoming a mom gave me this newfound confidence that I really didn't expect and helped me to actually go ahead and start my blog. And now it's funny because motherhood is what I talk and write about, so I don't really know what I would have been writing about before. I also want to point out the fact that it's okay to not recognize yourself for a little while as you're finding that new version of yourself. It's good and healthy to be pouring out yourself for someone else. That's really just the gospel playing out in a real way. We get to pour ourselves out for our children. And I know we live in a society that's all about what we're entitled to, and you're entitled to self-care and your me time and whatever. And like, I'm not saying that's all bad. We do need balance and we do need help and support as moms, but why are we so focused on that and not the beautiful ministry that motherhood gets to be? I don't know if you've heard people talk about the phrase get your pink back, and you know, they talk about how flamingos, they lose their pink when they have their baby and then eventually they get it back or whatever. But like, why do we expect our personalities not to change, our schedules not to change? Why are we so fixated on what we used to have? It's not about getting back what you used to have. It's about what we're going to find and do going forward. And you are going to be a new creation, and that's a good and healthy thing. I always wonder why people decide to have kids. I think for some people, maybe it's not a decision. It's just like what you've always planned to do. For me, it was a big turning point and a big decision. I have a video about that too. I used to think of it kind of selfishly through a very worldly perspective of, do I want kids and what will make me the most happy? When I thought of it that way, I didn't want kids. Why would I want to give my time and my resources to someone else? Why would I want my whole life to change and my body and all of these things, right? But when I began to think about eternity and how my faith fits into my life, of course I want to have children. Of course this is the best thing that I can be doing with my time, because I don't believe I'm on this earth for my enjoyment and happiness. I believe I'm here to lay my life down, to show God's love to the world, and the opportunity to pour my life out for someone else, for my 3 beautiful children. That is, man, money can't buy that kind of opportunity. That is something special, and it's truly the greatest ministry that I will ever get to do on this earth. The last thing that I want you to remember, it's not your job to make your kids happy. And this is something that's so important to wrap our heads around, even in those early newborn days, because newborns cry, right? And often they're hungry and we can feed them, and that is a beautiful thing, being able to comfort our baby, right? Or they're tired and we can rock them to sleep. But sometimes newborns cry and you don't know why, and you can't get them to settle. And that only continues as they get older, right? And even with toddlers, sometimes they cry and you know what they need, and you can care for that need and give them what they need. But sometimes toddlers are just having a bad day and there's nothing you can do to make it better. And really, sometimes they even need to learn cause and effect, right? Maybe they're not playing with the toy they wanted as a consequence, and that's sad, and it means they're unhappy, and maybe they don't like you for a time, but that's okay, because it's not actually your job to make your kids happy. It's your job to make sure they are fed and clothed and safe and cared for, and that you're raising them up to know Jesus. And that means sometimes they will be very unhappy because you are doing those things for them against their will. Even your tiny little newborn, you have to change their diaper and it's cold and they don't like it and they cry. Like, that is okay. They're going to be unhappy. It's not your job to make sure they are happy at every moment. And your value is not based on the happiness of your child. That's something so important that I need you to know. Your value isn't based on your kid's happiness. It's not based on your ability to change a diaper super fast or keep all the laundry clean or whatever it is. That's not what your value is based on. Your value is found in Christ alone. And I know it's so hard to actually wrap your head around that. I feel like all I've done just now is kind of verbal diarrhea at you, all the things I think about, and it might be kind of overwhelming if you are used to a very different perspective on motherhood and your life. But these are the things that are constantly running in my mind, that I'm constantly thinking about. And honestly, I love being a mom because I view it in this way. So I don't know, hopefully something that I just shared can bless you and be helpful and help shape the way that you view your role as a mom. And if not, if there is something else that has helped you, definitely comment it down below so that we can all encourage each other in our motherhood and in how we view motherhood. Obviously, enjoyment of being a mom is not the number one priority, but I believe that like I said, it's a result of realistic expectations and also a high value on the role that we're doing. This really is the highest calling that God could give us. I believe that so strongly. So if you want to stick around here for, you know, other motherhood rants and tips and encouragement and all that good stuff, definitely subscribe, and please send this video to a friend. Maybe you know someone having her first baby who could really be blessed by this. Send it her way. Thanks for watching.